So everybody's talking about Ebony K. Williams and her interview with Iyanla Vanzant, talking about relationships and
Talking about how she want to date the bus driver. That's what they're talking about.
that
one,
was just one
one about
piece
the
of it.
relationship.
No, that was one
About
snippet, and that is going viral. But that's kind of why we're talking about it as well, because it is going viral, and it's one of those topics that everybody is is touching base on. So we figured we would also have a conversation about what does this mean, like for the state of relationships for Black couples primarily. What are the implications of this? What's the solution? Because I think we all agree that there's a problem. And I don't know that we know how to fix it. I think the men see a problem, the women see a problem, and we just can't seem to come to a meeting in the minds. But it feels like everybody wants a solution.
yes, I believe so.
So recap real quick. Ebony had Iyanla on. They were talking a little bit about the male, masculine energy, feminine energy, which is another one of those topics that's going around right now. And Iyanla just pops up with a question and says, "Would you date a bus driver?" And Ebony says, "I would date him if he owned the bus."
No, she didn't say that. She said, well, "No,
She did not do all of that.
if he owned the bus."
No, she was clear. Just she was quick with her answer. Yes, I would.
I think that's the win.
Okay. If he owned a bus. So essentially, so let's talk about Ebony a little bit. Now, I don't know all her credentials. I just know some surface stuff, and it's probably some more details. But we do know she's an attorney. We know she was the first Black Real Housewife on Real Housewives in New York. She has a show. She's done some other things. She has credentials, and I don't know what her net worth is, but we can safely assume that this woman is doing well for herself. She's highly educated
around
and
$3
she's
million.
doing well. Okay, she's doing better than I even thought she was.
That's what I heard. I don't know how true
It could.
That's what I heard.
It very well could be the case.
Yeah.
So, people are up in arms over the fact that this woman says she would not date a bus driver. Iyanla kind of got on her about that, saying that that's not the good way to think about it. And again, if it's not about the money, and we've got it all wrong, and we are placing too much value on degrees and money and all of that stuff. So. I'm gonna hand it over to you because I know you have a lot of thoughts. You got a list right there. So, because I have some thoughts, but they're not gonna take nearly as long as yours.
You trying to say because I stutter? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
because
Are you
you're
talking about my stuttering again?
long-winded. So go ahead.
I'm just
Hurry up.
It's layered, but I don't think it's as layered as people think it is. I don't think the solution is as layered as people think it is. I mean, her saying that she wouldn't date a bus driver.
What's the problem in that for you? Why is that a problem?
It's well, for me, it's not even the fact that because he drives a bus. I think that she's saying someone of a socio-economical standpoint. I believe.
Is what not good enough for her?
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like.
So is it that is she indicating a preference? Because what I heard was a preference. And that preference is for somebody, again, she's saying if he owns the bus, so that speaks to his finances.
Her preference is that she wants to marry a guy's not a bus driver?
No, her preference is somebody who is in a financial position to be able to own a fleet of buses or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I heard preference.
Okay.
I don't think she was shitting on bus drivers. I don't think, because, again, bus drivers, my father was a bus driver.
Right.
He worked for the MTA for I don't know how many years, and my father did well. So you can make good money driving a bus, being a sanitation worker, a plumber, electrician, all of these quote unquote blue collar jobs can pay extremely well. And in a lot of instances, they can pay better than some white collar jobs. And also you have to kind of factor in, if you did not go to college, you have no student loans, you're not in debt. So everything you're making is yours, as opposed to somebody who might, go to a 4-year university or go and get a master's and then come out and they might be making 6 figures, but their net worth is crap because they owe so much money. So, there's not always a hard and fast rule about what type of job you have and what education you have that automatically ties into your income, or I should say your net worth. Mm-hmm. But I just heard her say, as a woman who you said is worth $3 million or whatever.
Allegedly,
we don't know. But we know she's
something good, or
huh?
do you have to say alleged it was something
That's
good, or just when it's something bad?
Yeah, I don't know, but she's clearly, I think she's doing well for herself. So it just sounds like she has a preference that she wants a man who's also doing well for himself.
So let me ask you this. So if a man says, I'm only dating somebody who's pretty, or dating somebody that has a certain body type, or someone that is X, Y, and Z, that's looked at as being shallow. And it's always been looked at as being shallow. Like, as long as men have been saying that, it's always been looked at as being shallow. So why is this all of a sudden a preference that's not looked at as being shallow?
I don't think that those are necessarily shallow.
People might say that in 2023, but they definitely were saying that. I mean, I'm a man of a certain age. I know you can talk about some of the gray, but back then it was definitely saying, like, if you were looking for beauty, body type, like that's
Aren't we all looking for that?
and
I mean, it's subjective, right?
and it was shallow, and all those conversations was look at the woman inside. So now people are just saying, look at the man inside, but that's not being viewed as shallow. It's all shallow. So she's shallow.
I don't know that she's shallow.
Were those men that was only looking for body shallow? Because they were back in the 80s and 90s.
We didn't hear more about what she wanted in a man, right? That was just like one soundbite. I'm pretty sure she wants a man who has some type of level of financial means, who's also good to her, who's kind, who's intelligent, who's ambitious, who's good to his mama, who's religious or God-fearing or whatever. I'm pretty sure those are other criteria. We just didn't hear her say it. So if she was to say, I don't care what he looks like, I don't care how he treats me, I don't care about nothing as long as he has money, that's shallow. But she didn't say that. Now, the other example you gave...
She did not say that neither, but okay.
Well, I mean, let's go on what she... I mean, again, it wasn't a talk about what is she looking for in a man. You know, she answered a question.
Right.
Now, the example you gave are men who said, I'm taken from what you said. The example is, I only want a woman with big breast or a nice body or who's very pretty. That's shallow because that's just one dimension of a person.
And so
but if you want somebody
who's
who's got other good traits but is also pretty, that's not shallow. Who doesn't want somebody attractive? We all want that.
I'm just saying that the conversation back in the days when I was growing up, it was deemed shallow.
If there was nothing else in it, if it was just she has to have big breasts, but if it wasn't that she needs to be a good person, or she needs to have a good sense of humor, personality. If you said I don't know anybody who says I don't care about any other aspect of the personality as long as they look good.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if rich is your first criteria, is shallow. If the great body in the woman is the first criteria, that's shallow.
If it's the first, yeah.
And a lot of these conversations that we hear now, either in person or on the internet, it's man with money, provision. He can't be a bus driver. It's never I want him to be a bus driver and nice. I mean, it's never I want him to be rich and nice to me. I want him to have good integrity and things like that, because those are also skills that are extremely hard. Not skills. Those are also attributes that's extremely hard to come by sometimes, and people overlook them thinking that they come automatically.
Yeah.
And if you're 35 and up, you know they don't come automatically.
Yeah.
Yet you get people 35 and up still not adding that to the stuff that they want in the person. Because I believe, and history has shown, that people will look over things when men have money.
And men will look over things if a woman is attractive.
I'm talking about like atrocious things though, like.
And men will look over atrocious things if a woman is bad.
Then they not to marry, to date, to like fool around with, yeah, maybe. But a man is not looking over atrocious acts in a woman's past to marry. Mess around with, maybe. And if he does, he's probably a man with money who could never get a woman like that under his own accord. So now he's just looking at the beauty part of it.
True. Again, everything we're hearing about, all these conversations, these are sound bites, like we don't know in totality what all the characteristics they're looking for. I mean, that's something that somebody sits down with like a matchmaker and talks about.
If you're going to buy into me telling you she got $3 million, then you got to buy into the rest of it. Like, I'm just saying.
Well, I think the thing was, and this is what bothered me about this.
One last thing before you move on. Mm-hmm. And I also heard that she had a matchmaker for 2 years and still hasn't found a match.
Okay.
So I
I
mean,
mean, I don't know Ebony's story. I don't know why. I don't know if she's looking for a unicorn. I don't know. But I'm just basing my assessment off of what I heard in that interview. And I think, and what it means to the greater collective of us, of people, and like, these conversations we're having.
correct.
I think for me, I go back to this preference. Again, if you have a preference based on your experience, your lifestyle, your desires, you're allowed to have that.
Yeah, of
And I
course.
think the problem is people feel like your preferences can only, it's okay to have a preference if it makes sense to everybody else. And so, like for her, okay, this is an example. There are people who will say, I don't want to date nobody with young kids, right? Shoot, there's some young people who say, I don't want to date with anybody with any kids. You get to a certain age, everybody has kids, right?
Right.
So a lot of people who are, in our age group might say, I don't want to date a man or a woman who has young children. And why not? Because when you have young children, your time is limited. You can't get up and go. You might not be able to travel, like all of that stuff. People can wrap their mind around that because it makes sense. Like if I know I'm a globetrotter and I want to go on vacation 4 times a year, and I want to go with my partner, if they have a small kid, that's not feasible.
Right.
So if I was to make that call and say, I'm not dating somebody with young kids, people would be like, I get it. She wants to travel. So that's a preference. No, we're not shitting on kids. We're not saying anything's wrong with people with young kids. We're not saying anything's wrong with single mothers or single fathers. That's just not their preference because it doesn't fit their lifestyle. Now, on the same token, you take somebody like Ebony, her lifestyle might be one where she wants to travel, she wants to go on extravagant vacations. She wants to spend a lot of money. She wants to go out to 5-star restaurants. She wants to buy expensive stuff for herself and for her partner. If that's how she's living and she's worked hard to get to a point where that's what she wants,
to get to that point,
then she wants a partner who can experience that with her.
and they can experience it with her.
Wait, let me finish.
With her money.
But why is that okay that I gotta fund somebody else's lifestyle?
I don't.
But you're saying so if I want to go on vacation, so she wants to go to Bali, then she has to pay for him to go to Bali.
The same way
When her preference could just be, I'll meet somebody who can pay for their own ticket to Bali, and we can both go to Bali. And this way, I'm not in a deficit, and you're not in a deficit, and we both had a great time.
So the same way that men have been paying for women to go to Bali because men made money back in the day, so it only made sense. So
and women didn't make money back in the day, so there was no option for women to pay for themselves.
Whoever makes the money, it makes sense for them to spend the money. That's just basic economics. Like there's no feelings involved with that. That's just a fact. And if people are making money, they should spend their money. And the power of money comes with you have to spend some of that money on your loved ones, putting into your household, fixing stuff, buying stuff. Because if you're not doing that, why are you making money?
Okay, well, don't you think there's a different level of what people can do if y'all are pooling resources? So if one person is paying for a trip to Bali for 2 people, that might be $10,000 out of one person's pocket, where that could have been $5,000 out of each of our pockets.
Right.
And that's $5,000 extra in your pocket, do what you want, $5,000 extra in my pocket, do what I want. But now we've depleted $10,000 from my pocket, and now what does that say for that person's finances?
It means that that's $10,000 from our pocket. And I don't understand how, for the last 50, 60 years, this wasn't a conversation.
Because women
now
did not make their own money.
Right. Now, men aren't making as much money.
Men can make their own money, though. That's the that's the essence of the difference. Women could not. They didn't have the ability to do it. Men have the ability to make money.
All right. Money is it's a closed dynamic and it's fixed. Right? So say the total amount of money that's in the United States is fixed, because it is fixed. It's a fixed number. So let's say that fixed number is $100 million. If men are only working, then that money only goes to the men, so it makes sense for men to pay for the women. Now, you add women to that same equation, it's still $100 million. So now Men are getting $50 million because they work, and women are getting $50 million because they work. If you want to go by the stats, they might be getting $60 million now because they're working, and men are getting 40. So women pump their chest and say we're getting more money than men. If you want to agree or not, but I'm gonna agree just for my argument. You guys are making more money, so it only makes sense to pay more because with more power comes more responsibility.
So how does that tie into a man being a leader of the household and wanting women to submit and wanting women to follow? So, I mean, old school is I pay the cost to be the boss, right? Well, then that means who's making the money is the boss. Men don't subscribe to that. Men don't want to be bossed around. They don't want to be told what to do by women. They don't want their opinion not to matter in their household. So if we go by that philosophy, I pay
Who
the
goes
cost.
by that philosophy?
Because that was the philosophy back in the day, right? When
And
men were
the
making the
women
money,
agree-
women fell in line because they
Women
had to.
agree with that? They were happy with that?
No, I didn't say they was happy with
Okay,
it, but they
all right.
fell in line with
Okay,
it because
so-
they had no choice. So if we're gonna go with this whole, well, you got more money, you spend more money, does that mean a woman has more decision making ability in the household?
I mean, not.
And can we agree that most men won't go for that, or they won't feel comfortable with? They might go for it because they have no other option,
Okay.
but they won't feel comfortable for it. That brings up another point, and I think Ebony might have referred to this in the longer version where, and I've heard other women say this. We know that these are, some of this stuff is dated, right? Some of it is a little bit old, or it's, what's the word, obsolete. This
Right.
concept of men protecting, providing, and women, being nurturers and stuff. Some of it still applies, and then now because things are changing, yeah, we do have to change with the times. However, because men inherently have been, this has been instilled in them since they were little boys, especially men of a certain age whose fathers were from that generation where they were the providers. It's going to be a hard pill for them to swallow, for them not to have to take a back seat to a woman because of the money.
A back seat.
A
in what
backseat
way?
in decision making, a backseat in say so, a backseat in feeling like, because certain people, I mean, parents do it to children, bosses do it to their subordinates, men used to do it to women. People, with money, there's power, right? So with that power, you might have to take a backseat to the person who has the power. And if the money
Okay.
and the power are equated, and the person who has the power, who has the money now has the power, the person who doesn't might have to take a backseat. And a lot of men, and I'm gonna say specifically black men, have an issue with that. And they don't feel comfortable. So even if the woman is comfortable being the primary breadwinner and making most of the money, there's a huge faction of men who are not comfortable in that scenario. And that discomfort spills over to her, and it makes for a bad relationship. So you hear a lot of women say, I tried it. I was the breadwinner. I made more money. I didn't make him feel no kind of way. I quote unquote let him wear the pants. We made either let him lead or we made decisions together, but he still felt some kind of way and it kept bubbling to the surface. Therefore, I can't date a man who makes less than me because this is not going to be a healthy relationship for us. Therefore, now what option does this leave a woman who makes a certain amount of money? If a woman makes $250,000 a year and she's tried and she's dated multiple men who made less money and problems kept coming up because he made less money, what is she supposed to do at this point? Let me finish.
Okay.
Keep circling and spinning the block and keep trying it again, realizing it's a problem? Or does she say, now, you know what? This is not working. I need to be with somebody who makes the same amount of money or more so we don't have these problems. Not to say we won't have problems, but so we don't have these problems anymore. And then when this woman comes up on a platform and says, I want a man who owns a bus, now people want to shame her and they want to scold her. But, what are you supposed to do?
I'm going to tell you, well, two things. One, you're not, what says making money makes you lead, right? So the person who produces,
We've all heard that. We all
I mean, I know
we
we all heard it, but the person who produces isn't the leader. So the person who sings is not the leader. It's the record company. The person who scores the most points, and to be 100% totally honest, 9 times out of 10, the person who produces is not the leader. The person that scores the most points in the basketball team is not the leader. It's the coach or it's the GM upstairs. The person that makes all the shit. at your own job. Everybody that does all the work, they don't lead. It's the CEO, it's the director. So just because you are the one that bringing in the money doesn't make you de facto leader.
Well, then if you could take
Hold
that
on.
philosophy and you could work every day, and then you can let your kids lead
One.
and you
Oh,
every
hold on,
parent
hold
would
on.
be like,
I wasn't
work,
done.
I make all this money. I'm not gonna let my teenager tell me how she's
Yeah,
gonna work when I'm running this household.
You're trying to make.
I'm keeping the lights on.
You're talking apples to grapes. Some about adults or the
But
children.
I'm talking
too.
about power and I'm talking about resources.
Okay, so back to power and back to resources. Two, men want to lead.
Which is why I think they have a problem when they feel like they can't lead, and especially if the leading is attached to the money, which
2A.
causes relationship problems.
2A, it causes relationship problems because two, women want men to lead. Men aren't out here saying, I don't want to lead. Men aren't out here saying, I want my woman to lead. Women, in vast majorities, is saying, and I'm talking about women from lower economical standpoints to higher economical standpoints, they are all saying, I want my man to lead. So when you have a man that's ready to lead, just because you have money, it doesn't mean that you also have to lead. Just because you are Whitney Houston or something like that and you're bringing in the money, it doesn't mean that you have to lead our household. And if you're Whitney Houston, and if you want your man to lead, he will lead. You won't let him lead. He will lead. The only way he won't lead is if you interfere. So it's not a fact of letting him, like you said, then these women want to let him lead, and these women out here that let the man lead and let the man make. You're not letting the leader make decisions. He just makes decisions. You don't go upstairs and be like, yo, I made these widgets, but hey, boss, I'm gonna let you do what you want.
Okay, can I ask you a question? What does leading look like without the resources to back it up?
The same way it looks any other way.
So, okay.
She could come home and take her money and put it in an account. He could put his money in an account. And let's be honest, women get stressed easy. Women don't want to deal with the bills. They don't want to deal with the day to day. Put your money in an account and put his money in an account. It could be a joint account, and let him pay all the bills out of that account. Let him see the bills coming in and going out, balance and check. But let him do that.
Okay, what is there something else besides writing checks, or that
He make the household the decisions. He might do some shopping. He might buy some stuff for the house, and then you could be in your divine femininity and still go to work and still do the things that you want to do, just without the stress. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, ain't it? I can see it in your face. It's tough.
I
It's a tough pill to
I
swallow.
hear you, but I don't think that this is how it really plays out in the real world.
Because it doesn't, but it
There's a
can.
reason it doesn't.
Because y'all don't want to give up control. Women don't want to give up. Women don't. Happy I come back. to this.
Adults don't want to give up control.
No, women don't want to give up control, but they want to give up everything else that comes with control.
No, we want to give
Stress,
up control when we feel like we can trust the person who's going to make good decisions on our behalf.
Right, and if you marry a man, or if you're with a man for longer than 2 years, I think that's implied, because why are you still with him, right? So if you don't want to give up control, like you said, with resources come power, and then you stop there. What else come with power and resources? Stress, bills, aggravation, dealing with problems daily. So the only thing y'all want is the power, and I'm not saying y'all. The only thing women want is the power, but they want to give the rest of those things to men, and men are happy to take them. Will happily take them. So if Tasha K. Brown married a bus driver, and if she wants to come home
Ebony.
Ebony. Who I say?
You said Tasha K. Brown.
Who's Tasha K. Brown? What she do?
It's Ebony K. Williams.
Ebony, who's Tasha K. Brown?
Tasha K. is that blogger. I don't know who the Brown is.
Tasha K. Brown? She must be in Vogue or something.
Oh my God.
But Ebony K. Williams could come home, take her money in an account. Her bus driver husband can take the stress off. The only thing she has to do is go to work and talk and be on the show. That's all she wants to do. And all that stuff is fun for her.
Can I ask you a
Hold
question?
on, I'm not done. Of course you can, but just not right now. All that stuff is fun for her. All that stuff is great for her.
Well, no, Don't equate women to children like all we want to do is put on lipstick and flit around the house.
I'm equating women to women. I'm not equating them to children.
No, but you make it sound like they don't want to do nothing but just go to
I
work
did
and
not
be
say
happy
that.
and
You
shit.
said
like,
that.
you know, we don't.
No, I didn't
all
say
decisions are hard decisions. We're not ultimately stressed every time we have to make a decision. We have to pay bills. We have to do something. Like that's just part of adulting.
Do you want a man to lead or not?
Yes.
But the problem is, and this last thing I'm gonna say, but you want him to lead when he has money, and that's okay. And if he doesn't have money, then you say he can't lead, and that's not true.
I'm gonna say this last thing, and then we're gonna stop here because we're gonna do a couple of different shorts. I think that if I am a multimillionaire and my money is paying for, you know, my bills, my investments, my investment properties, my all this other stuff. And I'm equipped to do this because I built this up, right? I made these decisions. I got to this point where I have this portfolio and I'm managing it. Do you not understand how it could be a little daunting to let somebody who doesn't have that capacity, who has not managed that kind of money, who does not have a portfolio, who is only dealing with the check that they bring in, to now take ownership and manage all of that on your behalf? That's huge.
So at some point in time, she didn't do it neither.
But she got to the point where she's doing it. So now you ask somebody to hand over. Like, think about it. Back in the day, there's no man who went and did all this wheeling and dealing and had this money would then just go give his wife and be like, hey, yeah, work on this portfolio. With her no experience, with her experience being limited to laundry and sandwiches, there's no man that's going to be like, yo, babe, go ahead, manage this spreadsheet. No man was going to do that.
I've heard thousands of old school men
they let her pay the bills.
Hold on.
They gave her a checkbook and was like, yo, buy the groceries, buy the milk, and you know, make sure the lights are paid for. But he wasn't giving her ownership or dominion over large scale things because she wasn't equipped to do it. And it's no shot at her.
Only like 2% of people manage their own portfolio.
Experience in that. But you also have to manage the people who are managing your portfolio.
Yeah, true.
You just don't hand it over to some financial advisor and walk away and come back next year at tax time. If you do, you're a fool.
Hey, listen. Do you want the stress or not? I'm trying to take the stress off of y'all.
I don't mind stress. I mean, stress is a part of life. Stress is a part of adulthood. Now, there's different levels of stress. Now, none of us love stress, but stress is what keeps us on our toes. It keeps our adrenaline pumping. It's a part of life, and we all need to learn how to manage it as adults. It reflects
in your home life after that.
Well,
and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in our second video. But that's just a teaser. My last statement, I will say on this. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you have your last statement because yours is gonna be longer than mine. No, I think
my last statement then is that I think what Ebony has indicated was a preference, and everybody's entitled to a preference. If your preference is men over 6'4", if your preference is women who are under a size 6, if it's a preference is a woman who can cook her ass off, you are entitled. It's not a shot to women who are over a size 6, men under 6'4", or women who can't cook. You have your preference and you are entitled to that. And that's all that is.
My thing is that, like you said earlier, you said people shouldn't be, you said something like people aren't offended over people's preferences. People are only offended over people's preferences if that preference includes them. And that sticks with men and...
You said people are offended if what?
If that person's preference does not include them.
That's not true.
That's
not true. Because there are men who can sit out here and be like, yo, I don't like black girls. Okay?
And black girls are up and
you know
on.
why I'm not offended?
You aren't, but the vast majority of black women are.
I don't want the man who don't want me.
And
then there's a ton of men who do want me, so I don't need to be concerned about this one dude who don't like black.
I got a YouTube website that's full of women that's upset because men.
A size 6. I'm not a size 6, and that's cool. I'm not for you.
That's cool for you, but YouTube is filled with women saying, if a man doesn't date black women, what's wrong with you? Who hurt you?
I mean, yeah, there's questions.
You don't like your mother.
But I'm saying, you're not keeping me up at night. You know what I'm saying?
You.
But I'm a sample of other women. I'm not
no,
the only
you're a
person
sample,
who
small
feels
sample,
that
but
way.
yeah, you're a small sample.
And if you are so triggered by somebody excluding you from their pool, then you got to look at yourself because we all can't be chasing the same person. Some people like redheads, some people like brunettes, some people like people with freckles, some people like, that's how this world works. If we all only wanted the same person, none of us we'd be like musical chairs. We'd all be standing and the music would be playing.
Right.
So there's a reason why people have preferences. And all I think is Ebony's indicated that she has a preference, and I think she's earned the right to have that preference. Now, what comes with it, she has to deal with. If that means
Okay.
she's going to be single for the next 5 years,
Absolutely.
10 years, and I think she's equipped to do that, because if not, she would be with somebody right now. She would be with a bus driver right now, but she's making the choice for herself. She's electing to wait until she finds what she wants, and there's nothing wrong with that.
But she has a dating coach, so that means that she really wants to be
She
in a
does.
relationship.
She's doing the work so that
Right.
she can find somebody,
Right.
which is what somebody should do. You can't just sit on the couch and hope the person
But you
rolls
can't-
up on you.
But you can't have a person with a dating coach and can't say the person's not yearning to be in a relationship. You can't say that they're not lacking something because they're not in a
We're all
relationship.
lacking something.
We absolutely are, but those people are lacking relationships.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true, and that's okay. And most people are, even people with the best intentions who will, of course, all the T's and dot all the I's, want relationships and they don't have them. But that doesn't mean you just grab the first person you see because you just don't want to be alone.
No, it's definitely not the extreme. And Iyanla made
And that's, I think, the message.
Iyanla-
What I'm hearing a lot of people is like, yo, just take this dude, he's available. Take that chick, she's
Iyanla made a-
available. No,
Iyanla
you
made-
have a right to wait for what you want.
Iyanla made a point and was like, I'm not talking about the guy sitting on this playing video games. So she made a point of not talking about the bottom of the spectrum. She was talking about the top of the spectrum. Iyanla was talking about the middle of the spectrum. And she was like, nah.
But Ebony is not a middle of the spectrum woman.
For what? A relationship?
She's not like the Kevin Samuels say high value man. She's a high value woman.
Okay.
And if the high value men, if the high value men have a right to pick and choose and cherry pick who they want to be with, then a high value woman has the same exact
What
right.
makes her a high value woman?
She's accomplished. She's more accomplished than average. She's prettier than average. I mean, I don't know her personality. You know, she might be. She seems to be charismatic. She seems to have a good personality. Yeah, that kind of falls under
Tough,
charismatic.
right, yeah.
She's independent. She strikes me as a full package based on what I know of her. I'm not saying she's perfect. I don't know her story. But what I'm saying, those high value men, we know they're not perfect either. But they were allowed to cherry pick because they earned a certain amount of money and they had credentials. So on the flip side, she has a right to cherry pick.
Back to my question. What you just gave criteria for a high value woman, that's criteria for a high value man.
No, I didn't. I said she's attractive and she's charismatic. Those are not limited to men.
You said accomplished, and that entails money. Like, you didn't say any values
No.
Hold on, you didn't say any values that had anything to do with femininity. None.
Here we go, the feminine.
No. I'm just saying.
I said she's beautiful.
Okay, one.
That's
okay,
true.
okay. So she's beautiful. Kind of like what Iyanla said in the video. Is she nurturing? Is she caring?
Again, I don't know.
Is she childbearing?
I know she wants children. I know for a fact. I know she
wants.
about,
Can she?
She's going through. Anybody can have kids now, especially if you got money. So
okay.
I know she was exploring IVF and all this stuff, or freezing her eggs.
Why was she 60 years old at a high school graduation?
First of all, listen, you take them how you get them. And if she could be a great mother, then she could be a great mother. There's a lot of shitty mothers who had their kids at 20 and 25 and all this stuff. And yeah, they're only 40 when their kid goes to high school, but they're trash parents. So age really doesn't make a difference.
This is my last take. My last take is, you can roll your eyes if you want. My last take is 99% of the time when you're looking down on somebody, or if you have a preference for something.
A preference is not looking down on somebody else.
Okay, I'm just using looking down just for its sake of the conversation, but I'm going to say preference. 99% of the time, if you have a preference for somebody that's here or above par or on par with you or above par with you, there's someone whose preference that you want. Some of these men that you want, 80% of the time, those men that you want are looking at you saying you don't meet the criteria for them, and that happens all the time.
And that's okay.
And I said it's okay.
So that everybody
yes.
accepts me.
You let people live.
I don't have to say
in
because
delusion.
Idris won't call me, or because I can't get on Method Man's line that I need to date any and everybody because they won't see me. Because they won't see me, that means I got to go see these dudes. Come on, that don't make no sense. All right. Well, we're done with this one. We're gonna move on to another topic.
We're done.
Done. Yeah, done.